This has been such a wonderful month. Just think, we're almost at the end of October. And the good news is that we have holidays right around the corner. And we've certainly had blessed days. I've done a lot of traveling most of this month. And that's why I've been a little MIA. But I'm happy to be back in my regular routine and ready to go. This week, our meal planning is going to be based on, number one, things that we love. And number two, a lot of prep is going to be done, just getting ready for Thanksgiving. And not only Thanksgiving, but Christmas, and you got a little bit going on with Halloween. Typically, Halloween is the official day for an official fall pot of chili. And I haven't made chili other than when the kids were down at the beach, and that was one of their requests because that's something they like. And I thought, I have to stay with the tradition. They know Halloween, that's what we do. So on Halloween, we'll go to visit with them, go trick-or-treating with them, walk around the neighborhood and just enjoy. I love seeing them in their little costumes, and we've got cheerleaders, we've got unicorns, we've got all kinds of funny things that are going on, and certainly it is a time strictly for children. I want to say one thing that's very serious, and that is that I'm asking each and every person to keep praying every day for peace. And certainly, I love each of you who view. This is a situation. This is a birth. This channel was a birth of something that had been laid on my heart for a very long time, and there are days I think I'm floundering, trying to figure things out. But I'm a firm believer that God gives us what we need, and that He will direct us and tell us exactly the direction that we need to go. I feel like as a mom, as a grandmother, as a wife, that I need to be vital in that move to prepare the young women who are coming along. There are a lot of things that they're not seeing and that they don't know. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. And many of them are floundering, and there's no reason for it. If they open their eyes and they look around, there are those of us who are out here who want to share and to pour into them everything as much as we can that we know, all the good things. And if, something crazy goes on, they need to know how to bounce. They need to know how to balance work and home and children and husbands and all of those things. They need to know how to do that. And I learned by watching someone else, and I hope they will learn, because they may not be able to see that person every day. They may not even live close to their mothers or their aunts every day. And so because of that, they are technology oriented. They always have those phones. They're always taking pictures. They're always listening to things. So let's give them quality things to be able to use as tools to research. I have been inspired by many other YouTubers to, as I started to research what was out there. And, there are a lot of women who have that same desire. So I have to think it wasn't just a message to me. It was a message to women across the world. And as we traveled this past month into to Europe, I saw moms doing some of the things that we are doing. And I also talked with young women who need what we're trying to share with them. So let's make sure our game is tight. I certainly am trying to tighten mine up and make sure that everything's perfect. So we are going to meal plan this week. We're going to have everything laid out so that we're ready to go. This week's meal plan, because we're going to be in and out of the house, we may not have as many meals at home. We're going to do some eating out this week, but you know, that's the way it is. That's life. That's life. That's just it. So enjoy. I will try to encourage each week. I will give you what you need so that you don't have to go searching all over the place to try to find the recipe and do all that kind of stuff, because it takes time to do that. And many of you don't have that kind of time. So that's the reason why we're trying to provide it right there for you. So as you watch the video, you can just scroll down. Recipes are right there, bam. You can print it off, or you can take a picture of it, or you can screen save it, whatever the case may be. And you're ready to go and ready to do some things with your family and use those tools. So God bless you all. And certainly we got a lot to do between now and 2019. Doing some Thanksgiving preparation. I know you're thinking, what? It's kind of early for Thanksgiving, but you know, it's going to be here very quickly. And so today I bought quite a few onions, because at Thanksgiving we just go through, I know I go through at least 2 bags of onions. And by the time I get through all the dressing, the greens, the green beans, and heaven only knows what else, the onions just seem to disappear. And that's in addition to just the regular meals for dinner, just the regular meal prep. So what I decided to do, last year what I did was that I chopped up everything, put them in Ziploc bags, and then just kind of broke them off as I needed them. This year I thought, well, let me be even more efficient. And I happened to be at the Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree had some, I think they're by Betty Crocker, little containers. These little square containers, they hold exactly 2 cups. Now, in most recipes, you'll only need about a cup. So what I've decided to do, this is 1 onion per container. And I'm doing it that way, not because I just want to spread out all the containers and make you think I'm going to use them all, but I will use all the onions. But I had enough containers to be able to put 1 cup in. My plan is to grate the onions, put them into 1 cup containers, as we have here. I'm going to put the lids on them, freeze them, take them out, and put the cubes into the Ziploc bag. That way I can just drop a cube into whatever the mixture is that I'm preparing, and I'm ready to go. So I'm doing a little bit of that prep now. My plan is to do onions. Once I get the onions done, I'm going to do celery. And once the celery is complete, I'll also do carrots. And let's see, I think my garlic is in pretty good shape, but I may actually go ahead and do a little bit of garlic into some ice cube trays so that I can just kind of throw those in and make that quick as well. So I am going to take you along for this last onion that I'm going to do tonight before I start dinner. So let's get my container. I want to make sure you're with me. I have my trusty mandolin. Oh Lord, this mandolin's been around for quite a while, and it gets me through. Sometimes it actually bites, so I have to be very careful, because we have a love-hate relationship, and as long as I'm using it, I'm not in a hurry, then you know, we do just fine. I actually come out and there's no bandage. But when I'm in a hurry, or there's a lot of people around, or a lot of things going on, then I have a tendency to end up with a bandage, because it bites and it will cut your hand very badly. I've got quite a few nicks from this mandolin. So it does its job. It's been around for about 15 years and still working. So here's 1 onion. I'm going to place it in the next container. And I have 1 more yet to do. So I'll put the onion in. I have my onions for tonight's dinner needed to be sliced. So they are sliced and ready to go. And I think what I'll actually do is to slice this last onion. Okay, so that one's ready. I'm kind of taking one and kind of pushing it down just to make sure that it's good and solid. And then I'll put the tops on them, freeze them, and in the morning I'll place them into the Ziploc bag. So there's 3. This is the 4th one. And I'll clean this onion up and get ready to slice. I'll bring you right back. I am putting on a glove that is called a cutting glove. And basically what it does is that it helps to protect your hand when you're using a mandolin or using a knife, if you have that tendency to cut yourself. When I'm slicing, I'm probably more at risk of cutting myself, so that's the reason why I try to make sure I use the glove. So I'm going to slice this onion. I'm slicing it thin. And let's talk a little bit about Thanksgiving, because certainly that's part of your meal planning for this month. You've got really 1 week of hectic cooking, and as much as you can get done in advance, that's what you're going to want to do. It really helps to save you. Some of my casseroles I'll do in advance and have them ready to go in the oven just before dinner. However many minutes it needs to stay in, I'll take it out that morning, allow it to come to room temperature, and then I'll cook it off. All right, my sliced onion I'm getting ready to put back and get it into its container. As you can see, it takes up much more space. But it's going to be fine. There are a few pieces from the smaller grates that I'll throw in there. I'm going to even throw these pieces in here just so as not to waste. And voila, I've knocked out 5 onions out of my bag. I only had 6 that were in that bag, and there's 1 left. Actually, let's see, 5, 6. There were 7 in the bag because I have 1 that I haven't touched yet. So these are I'm going to put the lids on them and place them into the freezer. Let them freeze overnight. I'll take them out and throw them into a Ziploc bag in the morning. Thanksgiving onions, done. Okay, this is the last one. I'll place them in the fridge, and they are ready to go. Now, let's get down to the business of dinner. Well, this evening we're going to have rice with chicken and Italian sausage. I'm on a green thing, so we're having collards with it and rice. But it's a 1-pot meal. So let's watch. Let's see how it comes together. I think it'll work perfectly. As you can see, I have a pat of butter, which is about a tablespoon, and about a tablespoon of olive oil that's in the bottom of my pan. And the first thing I'm going to do is to saute my sliced onions. And I sliced them in half just because I didn't want them too big. I don't want them to really totally brown, but I do want them to have a little bit of color. And once they get started, then I'm going to add in some black pepper, some salt, a little Italian seasoning, a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper, and of course you know the Italian seasoning is always somewhere other than where you're looking, so hold on one second. Well, of course, I couldn't find my combination of Italian seasoning, so I'm going to add about a pinch of thyme. Thyme in the kitchen. I'm going to add in a pinch of rosemary. Funny how I could find all the individuals. A pinch of basil. You just want a little. Okay. Now, I also need a little bit of pepperoncino. Always need a little spice in the life. Okay. Just enough to add a good flavor. I like that. I like how they're sizzling. Give them just a few more minutes. Okay, now I'm going to take these out and let them sit on the side while I prepare the chicken and the sausage. Okay, I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil back into the pan. Oh, that smells so good. A little bit of olive oil. I don't think I need any more butter. All right. And I'm going to start to add. Now what I did, I had frozen chicken tenders. And I just kind of sliced them. They'll fall apart as they cook. Trying to use portion control, which isn't always my best too. Now the Italians, okay, I had a bit of an interruption, but that's okay. I have chicken Italian sausage, and this is an all-natural al fresco sweet Italian style chicken sausage. It's supposed to be 70% less fat, no artificial ingredients, and should taste great. So let's see how that works. Now, as always, if you have a larger family, then you're going to increase the amount of meat or the protein that you're putting into your dish. My family is just a family of the two of us right now. And occasionally we may have guests, but most of the time it's just Hubby and I. So because of that, my portions are going to be smaller. So obviously if you are feeding a family of 4, you will double this. This particular chicken, I got chicken tenders, and they were actually pre-portioned with 3 tenders in each pack. And so it worked out great freezing. So this is just one of those packages. Had 3 tenders. And I figured between the tenders and the sausage that would be more than enough protein for tonight. As you can see, I mean, geez, that's more than enough for 2 people. So I'm going to add a little pepper. I don't think I'm going to add any salt at this point because I'm not sure about how salty the chicken Italian sausage is. So I'm just going to wait, taste toward the end, and if I need to adjust the salt, I will. But I'm going to let them brown a bit. Now, you may ask the question, why do I add butter with the olive oil? Well, for 2 reasons. First of all, the butter is going to give your dish a really nice level of flavor. And it's going to also increase the amount of browning that you're able to get of whatever the substance is that you're going to put into your dish. So it aids in the browning, aids in the flavor, and for me, that's a win-win. So I'm going to continue cooking my chicken, kind of break it apart a little bit. The sausage is supposed to be sweet. The only real pepper that will come, real heat, is going to come from the little bit of pepperoncinos that I put in it. All right, now I'm going to take this chicken, I'm going to put it over with the onions, and I'll continue. I'm going to throw some mushrooms in, saute them. Then I'm ready to throw the greens in along with a little chicken broth. Let them simmer for a little while, and then I'll add the rice. Okay, I've added my mushrooms in. I am going to add just a dash of salt because let's remember that mushrooms have very little flavor. They pick up the flavor of whatever's around it, so we do need to flavor the mushrooms. Let them go for a few minutes. I did add just a touch of oil into the bottom. I'm putting in about 4 cups of chopped greens. Whatever your favorite green is, it will work. Okay. Let those saute for a little while. I'm going to add in some chicken broth. Approximately 4 cups, give or take a bit, enough to, you can see the juices down underneath. The mushrooms are in there. I'm going to add the onions in, I'm going to add the chicken in, all of that's going to go in, and in fact, eventually even the rice is going to go in, because remember, this is a 1-pot dish. But my rice is pre-cooked. Using some leftover rice that I warmed up just a bit. Now, if you taste it and you think it needs a little more chicken flavor, you can certainly doctor it up with chicken bouillon. I haven't gotten there to that level yet to taste, but I will in just a few minutes, because with greens you never know. Okay, I like where that is. I think I'll add just a little more liquid. You know what I forgot? I forgot the garlic. And I had intended to use fresh garlic, but since I'm a little late adding it, I'm going to add in some garlic granules. Get that stirred in well. You know, don't think that if you forget something, there's always an option. Oh yeah, that smells good. Now in the middle, I'm going to add my pre-cooked rice. Let me get a clean spoon. There we go. And I'm going to put this in the middle. Now I'm going to put the top on this, and I'm going to let it simmer for about the next 35 minutes. And I promise you, at the end of that 35 minutes, it's going to be so good. Give that rice a chance to soak up all that goodness. Give the greens a chance to cook down. Another tip, when I'm buying greens, and in this case, I didn't buy them where I had to do all of the cleaning. I bought it by the bag. It was already shredded in the bag. I just washed them good. And what I do is that I put them in a bag and I throw them in the freezer. I leave them in the freezer for at least 24 hours because that helps to tenderize your greens, and they just come out a lot easier on your teeth when you're chewing it, and doesn't really take away all the bitterness, but it does eliminate a little bit of the bitterness in the greens as well. So this is about to sit and simmer, and I'll bring you back. I'm going to take the top off of this for just a second so you can see how well it's simmering. That's what you want. Has a chance to cook those greens. It still has about another 15 minutes, and we'll be ready to serve up dinner. Take the top off. We're at the end of our 30 minutes of cooking. Whew. Hi. All of my dishes that I needed for cooking are clean. The only thing that's dirty is this skillet. And I'm going to serve dinner. Dinner is served and ready to go. This is a sausage, chicken, mushroom, collards, and rice. One dish meal. Remember last night, I had grated the onions and I put them in these containers. This one I think is a sliced onion actually, but I put them in the containers. Whoops, sorry, just lost my camera. And I froze them overnight. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to pop them out of each of these containers, and I'm going to put them into this Ziploc bag. It's a freezer bag, Ziploc freezer, and they are ready for cooking and Thanksgiving. Kind of pre-prepared. There's one. There it is in its little cube. And I have it labeled onions so that I know exactly what it is. So there's 1 cube. I'm going to put all of those cubes in. Ooh, there we go. Onions are so yucky. So it's nice to have it out of the way. And I'm able to put them in. See if you can follow with me without my turning everything over. See if I can get you there. Okay. Now, I think that'll work. And let's go to the next one. Put it in. I do this a lot. Preparing, especially when you have big holidays coming along. And actually, even if you're preparing for the month. And you know, onions and potatoes and celery, carrots are those kind of things that you use all the time and that you need to have. So, here are my prepared onions. They're ready to go for the holidays. I have a bag, and I'm trying to see if I can bring, there we go. Got it ready, so I'm going to put those together. I'm going to zip it up, and this will be placed in the freezer just like this, ready for the holidays. So I can just pop these out. This is 1 cup per cube. So 1 cup of onions is basically 1 large onion you saw last night. So they're ready to go. Let's get our chicken. Then take the top off. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. I don't want that moisture to evaporate. See if I can use these tongs and get it out pretty easily. At this point, I know it's going to start to fall apart. So hold tight. I'm going to place it on the plate. And I'm going to let that cool off. You'll see. Here's the legs falling off, or the wings rather. They just pull right off. Of course, it was a cooked chicken. But I'm going to let that cool for just a few minutes, and then I'll pull it apart. I'm going to go ahead and add into the pot the vegetables back in so they can simmer. Continue to simmer in the sauce. Now, of course, if you're cooking for a larger group, then your quantities, you just have to multiply your quantities. This should feed us probably for 2 days. So, you can plan accordingly. Could it feed a family of 4? Sure. This and a salad, some fixings, and you're good to go. So, I'm going to add in 1 can of corn. 1 can of corn. And this is the ingredient I think is so good. I'm going to add in 1 can of Rotel. And if you haven't used Rotel for your chili, you're missing out on something. But Rotel, this particular variety, let's see if I can get it close enough. This is diced tomatoes with lime juice and cilantro. So we're going to add those in, juice and all, put it in there. May need to make sure I get everybody. Add that in with the corn. Now Conway likes a lot of juice when it comes to his soups, and that's fine. Now I'm going to take just a little bit and give it a taste. That's good, but I think I'm going to add just a little more of the taco seasoning to it. This soup could be served with rice. And put in another teaspoon. In fact, there's not that much left. I'm just going to put it in the whole envelope. There we go. Give it a good stir. Now I'm going to put the top back on this. I'm going to put it down on low. And I'm going to let this go until dinner time. I'll bring you back when I start to add in the chicken. So the chicken has been pulled, and the soup is just quietly doing its thing. I'm going to add in some of the chicken. There's an awful lot of chicken, so I don't think I'm going to use all of it. But what I am going to do, I'm going to use my kitchen shears, and I'm going to do a little cut so that the chicken isn't too large. I like kind of bite-sized pieces in my soups. This is an easy way to make sure you have the size you need. Keep clipping until it looks like what you want. Now, just by clipping this, I already know it's way too much for this pot of soup. Now, so let's add in some of it, maybe half, and see what that looks like. Oops, got a bone. Don't want that in there. Ooh. Plop, plop. Oh yeah, I think that's maybe just a little bit more. I like my soups to be just a little on the thick side. Oh, that's great. That will work. So that leaves a little chicken. I've still got a little bit of chicken on the bone. I'll take the rest of that off as it cools. And toward the end of this, I'll go through and give it one more taste to see whether or not it needs more salt or pepper. Okay, it's ready to go. I have turned up the heat on this skillet, and I've added about a teaspoon of oil, teaspoon of butter, and as you can see, maybe a little bit that the heat is on high. I want them to soften and to melt. I have my shrimp, which if you remember earlier, we placed lots of good seasoning on them. Notice it's starting to sizzle. I want that sizzle. Now turn it up just a little bit higher. Let's see how the first one does. Okay, can you hear that? Hear the sizzle. I know I probably shouldn't crowd this skillet, but it's getting close to dinner time. We usually eat about 5:30. And the natives get restless when it gets too far past that 5 o'clock, 5:30 moment, and snacking begins. So I'm trying to beat that. So I still have a few left in the bowl. I'll add those in just a few minutes. I'll give those a chance to get hot. I'm not going to touch them until they come up easy. I'm being a bad girl. Okay, don't do as I do, do as I say. Don't crowd your skillet. But today, I'm throwing them in. The ones in the middle, I always cook the fastest, so I'm going to go ahead and flip those. I want nice color. And as they cook, they tend to shrink just a little bit, so I'll have room enough for the others. See the pretty color? Kind of switch them out with those that were on the outside and let them get in the middle. You notice some of these are curling. That's because they were smaller. Okay. Now, all right, they'll finish their cooking. They've got good color. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take this off the fire. I'm going to turn it down to kind of a medium-low. Put the greens over there. And this, it's good and warm. I'm going to put in the shrimp. I'm going to add the shrimp and do it while you see. Okay. Add the shrimp to the pan. Give it a good toss. put the top back on it. I'm going to give it 15 minutes on low, and we are ready for dinner.